Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look today at the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Penguins right now are kind of in an interesting spot. They have some very big pending contracts this summer, for the summer of 2022. We're going to go over some of the latest on those contract discussions. Are there any discussions at all with these players? So we're going to be going over that today. So there's been a lot of talk in Pittsburgh, really over the past year now, about the status of Russian center Evgeni Malkin. We're not going to really talk much about Malkin today, but I do have to preface, their decision with Malkin will absolutely play a critical role in what ends up happening with the other two players. And that's not a discredit to the other two players, but we all know Evgeni Malkin is the bigger name of the three. So I did want to preface that it could go one of two ways. Either they sign Malkin and they say, all right, we want to keep these other guys around because they're going to, if we want to keep this cup window open, we're going to need all three of these guys. Or maybe Evgeni Malkin leaves and they decide, all right, well, now we have more cap space to keep Bryan Rust or Letang. Or they decide to just let everybody go and clean house. So we're going to see, we're kind of going to get that decision here. Again, last year in the summer of 2021, they did get some new management. So we don't know their stance on some of these players. And they have been in the rumor mill here really since, Brian Burke and Ron Hextall came into Pittsburgh. So with that said, we're going to go over the first one here. Number 58 on the Pittsburgh Penguins, he plays defense, Kris Letang. Now, what's interesting about Kris Letang is he is a guy that has been through it all in Pittsburgh. He's been a core defenseman, a core piece of this team in their modern-day dynasty, winning 3 Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And there's some questions about his future here over the next couple of months as he is a pending UFA this summer. So this was from Josh Yo. Kris Letang has shown zero interest in taking a pay cut. He is in line to get paid this summer. We also got another report from Josh. Kris Letang knows he could get a 4-year deal north of $8 million AAV on the open market. Now there's a problem with that. And the problem is Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not going to have the money to do that necessarily. And the reason for that is, like I said, they have to re-sign Malkin and Bryan Rust, who are both very good talents, and they're going to command some money this summer. So looking at the Penguins situation, let's see if I could pull it up for you guys here. Pittsburgh, there we go. So going into this summer, the Pittsburgh Penguins right now, they have $29.5 million in cap space. But you could say, oh, well, you get all 3 of those guys done. That's true. There's only one problem, though. You have a couple of guys right now on the taxi squad, even, that are probably going to command a raise, let alone some of their depth guys. They have a lot of guys that are going to be expecting new contracts. So, obviously, the big one being Geno Malkin. He's coming off of $9.5 million, right? The next one is Bryan Rust, who has been very good. Kasperi Kapanen, who is a middle 6, top 6 forward, right? But he is a restricted free agent, so they have some say on him. Danton Heinen expects a new contract. Again, RFA. Excuse me. Now, this is a big one. Evan Rodriguez, who has had a breakout season for the Penguins, probably been one of the most shocking names in the NHL in terms of a breakout year this season. Brian Boyle, Michael Chaput, Dominic Simone. Okay, they're not big names. Now we get to some other bigger names. You have Kris Letang, Casey DeSmith, and Juuso Riikola, and Pierre-Olivier Joseph. So there is a couple of guys there that are on entry-level AHL contracts that are going to expect more money this year, let alone the Evan Rodriguez's, the Kasperi Kapanens, who are even the lower tier, and then the big tier, Letang, Rust, and Malkin. So that $29.5 million is going to get eaten up very, very quickly. So I don't know if that's in the cards necessarily for the Penguins, if they can afford to give Letang $8 million on his next deal. And again, you look at his current contract, he is making $7.25 right now. So the question is the new Penguins management going to give him more than what he's making right now? So that's going to be in the conversation. Now, you look at right now, another pretty big name we've been talking about, Bryan Rust, right? He's currently making $3.5 million. So easily he is going to see a pay raise. Absolutely. So I could see him getting a 5/5. I think that's pretty fair for Bryan Rust, if not even more. He may ask for $6 million per year. So you're looking at a 6/5. You're looking at $30 million locked up in a guy like Bryan Rust, who can play in the top 6. So again, that's where that stuff's going to come in. And we didn't even get to Malkin yet. What is Malkin's stance? He's made his money. Maybe he takes a pay cut. He maybe takes $7 million on a 2-year deal to stay in Pittsburgh, right? So that's where the conversation is going to come in. Are guys going to take pay cuts to stay in Pittsburgh because it's Pittsburgh, where they've had that winning pedigree? And if Kris Letang sets the precedent that, listen, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to get what I want, he's probably not going to end up coming back to Pittsburgh. So there's going to be that conversation coming up on Kris Letang. I'm not certain of the future of Kris Letang in Pittsburgh because of that remark. Now, maybe he's just playing that game to see if he could get that money, and maybe he'll, maybe he'll kind of give in when free agency day comes so he could stay in Pittsburgh. It could be that tactic. Now, here's another one here from Josh, on Bryan Rust. So Bryan Rust wants a 6-year deal, north of $6 million AAV on his next contract this summer. So there you go. So the price is higher than I thought. So let's say they go 6.5 per year, 6 years. That's a pretty massive contract. Plus a raise for Letang, plus a raise for the goaltender, Casey DeSmith, a little bit of a raise for Juuso Ricola, a raise for Pierre-Olivier Joseph, as well as Bryan Rust, Evan Rodriguez, similar contract for Kapanen. You're seeing this money's going to get eaten up very, very quickly. So this was interesting from Josh Yo. So he confirmed that Evgeni Malkin and Pens have discussed a new contract. So here we go. This is kind of confirming what I was saying. He's willing to take less money than Crosby. Kris Letang has shown zero interest in taking a pay cut. We just talked about that. He believes he is in line for a raise, while Bryan Rust is going to want in the neighborhood of 6/6, right? And probably closer to 6.5, 6.25 per year. So the Penguins are going to have to fork over some money here. The money is going to talk this summer for Brian Burke and Ron Hextall. Last summer, there wasn't a ton of things that the Penguins management had to do. This year is going to be important. Now, not only is this year important for going into next season, but you have a couple of bigger contracts coming up. Jake Gensel, after this summer, he's going to have 2 years left on his deal. He will be a UFA in 2024. That's going to be a big summer in that regard. Sidney Crosby, believe it or not, he has 4 years left, so he is right after that. They just re-signed Jeff Carter, so how does that play into this conversation? You have Matheson and Marino locked down for the next half decade. And then Tristan Jarry, who is potentially a Vezina candidate this year, he will be up in the summer of 2023. You know that's going to come up in the conversations here over the next couple months. So those are all things that the management team is going to have to figure out. So if you fork over 6/6 to Bryan Rust, expect that you're going to probably have to let go of one of Kapanen or Zucker or one of those guys because there's just not enough money to go around. So guys, that is it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think the Pittsburgh Penguins should do with some of their pending UFAs? Because, like I said, it's not going to just affect the Penguins going into next season in the fall, but it's also going to affect the team over the next 3 to 4 years, over the next couple of contracts. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.